What advice would you give if you were chatting with a brand new recruiter in an industry? What would you tell them on how to succeed?
The biggest thing first is that they have to develop a rhythm of how they work. Okay. They can't just work because something is pulling on their shirt. So they got to do that right now. They need to have the ability to break their day down into the pieces of activity that ultimately develop the outcomes. So they need to have a time to market. They need to have a time to recruit. They need to have a time to interview. They need to have a time to plan for the following day. And then as their skills develop, they will have a tempo that they work in that becomes unbreakable because it was set at a young age. This, could I make a really stupid analogy for a second?
Yeah, go.
Do you know what draft horses are?
I actually don't.
You know what a Clydesdale is, like the Budweiser?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So we used to use them to do our farming here. Okay. When I would train a team of those horses, when they were about 2 years old, they would weigh close to 1,800 pounds, huge, like twice the size of a normal horse. Okay. Hoofs on them that are like that big. And I would put their halters on them. And then I would attach a chain to the halter, and that chain would be attached to the roll bar of a tractor. And behind the roll bar would be a carpet because they're going to smash into that carpet and they won't get hurt when they do that. So to make a long story short, I set the RPMs at 1,500, which is the pace that I want them to work at whenever they are hooked up and harnessed and put to work. And then I let off the clutch, nice and easy, and we move forward. The first reaction that they have is they sit down on their butt like a puppy on a leash for the first time, right? And they just go, no, no, no. And their feet tear up the ground and they're just like this, okay? And I drag them for what seems like an eternity, but it's probably no more than 2 seconds. And then they go, this isn't working. And they lunge forward and they hit the carpet. They don't get hurt. When they hit the carpet, they sit down again. When they sit down, they only sit down about half the time they sat down before because they realize that's not going to work either. Then they lunge forward, but they remember the carpet and they half lunge. And when they half lunge, that chain gets loose and there's no pressure on them. And from that point on, they just walk at 1,500 RPMs for the rest of their life like that when they're working. And if horses could talk, they'd look at each other and go, if we just stay at this pace, this asshole Lefkowitz is not going to bother us. Okay. This is just how we work. A recruiter has to set the rhythm of their physicality while they're working first. And during that rhythm, their quality will get better. And as their quality gets better, they are capable of working at a slower pace, but still making the same amount of money, right? Because of the quality. But if they work in a system where the owner has gotten everybody together and says, we all agree that at this walking pace, you suck. And at this walking pace, you're acceptable, chilling. Nobody's going to give you a trophy at the end of the month, but nobody's got their foot in your butt either. You're cool. And at this pace, you excel. As the quality of their work gets better and they hold that rhythm, their production goes through the roof. So the first thing that we want for a young recruiter is to develop their tempo.